Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this track session. This is rather a very important session because it talks about the sectoral focus of the overall agenda of the Annual Information Summit. Here we are talking about a very crucial sector, which is the insurance sector. So the title, what we have titled this session is Insurance Security Baseline, and we are saying how industry actions and regulatory interventions can help us in improving that baseline. And it's my honor to introduce the set of experts that we have today. First, let me start with the panelists. Can we have Mr. Prakash Kumar Ranjan? He is the Chief Information Security Officer for Navi General Insurance Limited. Can we have Mr. Prakash on stage?
Hi,
Welcome, Mr. Prakash, on stage.
good afternoon, Aditya.
Ago. So next, can we have Mr. Amarjeet Khanuja? Mr. Amarjeet is Chief Information Security Officer for Star Health Insurance. Welcome, Amarjeet sir. Glad to have you. Next, we have Mr. Manoj Nayak. Mr. Manoj is the Chief Information Security Officer for SBI Life Insurance Corporation Limited. Can we have Mr. Manoj on stage, please? Okay. Meanwhile, let me invite the moderator for this particular discussion, Mr. Satyanandam Atyam. He is the Chief Risk Officer for Tata AIG General Insurance Company Limited. Can we have Mr. Satya on stage, please? I believe the platform team is trying to get the speakers on stage. Can we have an update, please, for Mr. Manoj, Mr. Satya? And also, to complete the introductions, we would have Mr. Sundar Krishnan, Chief Risk Officer for Reliance Life Insurance, with us shortly. Welcome, Satya sir. So over to you to kickstart the discussion. Meanwhile, we'll try to get Mr. Manoj and Mr. Sundar on stage. Zadul team, can you please take me backstage?
Aditya, for the introduction. I think we will wait for the co-panel to join.
Yeah,
For all the audience, I think we have a wonderful topic on insurance security baseline, industry actions, and regulatory interventions to improve the baseline. DSCI has provided a good platform and a good topic for us to discuss. This is a subject which is closer to our hearts. I think the insurance industry has particularly seen a lot of changes or introduction of the new cyber security guidelines in 2017, and this was regarded as a first step towards creating a baseline by the regulator. I think in this start, should industry collaborate with regulator or create more granular baselines? This is a subject which I think is closer to our heart, because as an industry, it is very important for us to really anticipate that is it a roadmap towards maturity. And if it is a roadmap towards maturity, I think as the co-panelists are joining, I would like to start this initial conversation with Manoj. We have Manoj Naik from SBI General, who heads the information security for the organization, and also to let all the uh, audience know that whatever the views which are expressed by the panelists are the views of the individual, and these views are not of the employers they work for. So kindly take this context of the discussion from an industry viewpoint, and let's try to come out with a healthy outcome out of it. So, Manoj, considering the context of that we as an industry was provided with a wonderful security baseline by the regulator, a very
Yeah,
good effort provided by the regulator, how do you think these are going to really be a start, or will this help, or industry should more collaborate with regulator to create more granular baselines?
yeah,
Wanted to
thanks.
hear your thoughts on this.
Yeah, thank you, Satya. In the year 2017, the regulator has published its first cybersecurity guidelines. And if you look at, they named it as Information and Cybersecurity Guidelines. So they integrated both the approaches from the information security as well as cybersecurity perspective. And they created the baseline, in fact, at that point of time. So, like appointment of CISO by all the insurance companies, creating a cyber crisis management plan, and also conducting a gap analysis, conducting a annual cybersecurity assurance audit, reporting to the board risk management, constitution of the information security committee by all the insurance companies. So these are the major steps that has been taken by the regulator through these guidelines. And also at that point of time, I remember that regulator has interacted with all the insurance companies, their CISOs, their CIOs, and have taken their views and accommodated the views and released the guidelines. However, now it is, now 4 years has already passed on in that path. So we have almost achieved the baseline as stated by the regulator. And as a insurance industry, the industry is based on the data centric. So everybody has lots of data, policyholder data, be it is a life insurance company, be it is a general insurance company. All the insurance companies business is based on the data. So the data is the new gold, and the attackers are trying to look at that data, look forward to capture the data of the insurance companies. So it can benefit to the attackers in many ways. So that's why, considering the emerging threats, the baseline also required to be changed. Probably this is the concept that regulator has also released a circular few months back, that they are reviewing the existing guidelines, and they have already started discussions among the industry peers and also some of the CISOs and CIOs of the insurance companies. And hopefully in the next 3 to 4 months, again they will be coming up with a new guidelines. Yeah, over to you, Satya.
Well, thanks, Manoj. I think rightly articulated, data is the new oil. I think we are quite lucky to have people from life insurance, general insurance, and health insurance representing this panel. I will go back to Amarjit on the same thoughts. So, Amarjit, considering you being a very part of the leading health insurance company, and the health insurance is also a sector where the data is something very critical from a point of the data security. So, from your industry viewpoint, I think from the same question, if I want to put it to you, how do you think, with the 2017 baseline provided by the regulator, a wonderful baseline provided by the regulator as a guideline, how this can be, taken as a base, and we can create more granular baseline for the industry? Your thoughts on this, Amarjit?
Thank you, Satya. And just reiterating once more that all the views which are going to be addressed now, these are my own personal and no way, anywhere represent my organization or anything, anywhere. Okay. So first of all, thank you setting the context, and thank you, Mr. Manoj, for giving the historical background regarding the IRDA cybersecurity guidelines and walking us the entire history, like how we have progressed and other things. As rightly said by Mr. Manoj, that guidelines have already set the baseline. Now, coming to the data, this is becoming a major threat across the organization, not only insurance, but across the sectors. And what is happening is, if we look at the 307 controls which are there, the data security is embedded implicitly across multiple points, whether it is access, whether it is operations, whether it is asset management, etc. But now probably in the new set of guidelines which is in the offing, so we need to have explicit data security controls to be included. We should also talk about, because currently if we look at it, there is for cryptography there is only one explicit control. Okay, so we need to have some controls related to cryptography. It should talk about data at rest, data in motion, and data in use. So plus, when we are even now, organizations are moving across the cloud. So when we are moving across the cloud, then again data localization then this data where it is being processed. There have been instances where data is stored in India, data in use is also in India, but what is happening is data processing or some memory functions are happening somewhere outside the country. So when we are choosing the cloud service provider or only some big data applications, we have to be very careful. Like, what are the you need to understand the entire architecture. It should not happen that some small component of some architecture of big data is getting processed from outside the country or outside the continent. So it requires awareness from CISOs, where CISOs are not only information security perspective, but they are also experts like an enterprise architect. They go delve in very detail across all the workflows which are happening. So that's one thing which I want to set. And so cloud security and data security has to be taken care in this. That's all from my side.
Thanks, Amarjit. Amarjit rightly put on the perspective of cloud security and the data security, and these could be a very bigger components or the important components of baselines, because as insurance industry, we are adopting more cloud solutions. I think from a perspective of reaching out to customer and giving more good customer experience, and that becomes a lower cost proposition also for a lot of enterprises. I think the amount of interventions of cloud security and data security controls which we need to implement is something is of greater importance now. So going back to Prakash, he coming from a Navi General Insurance and the perspective on the same part on a granular baselines, considering whatever baseline we got as a guideline in 2017 from the regulator. What do you think, Prakash, we should add upon this, and which can give the industry some good support, from having a very standardized baseline basis which we can work towards providing a more good security controls environment for the organization.
Thanks, Satya. Sorry, I have a bad throat today.
Prakash, you're on mute.
Uh,
I think.
no, sorry. Can you hear
Prakash,
me?
you're on mute.
Yes.
I'm not on mute.
Yeah.
Okay. So actually, all the points majorly has been covered by Manoj and Amarjit. So basically the guideline
Prakash,
is
you are
always
again on mute.
no.
No,
Okay.
I am able to hear him, Sita.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So basically, the guideline is
Please go.
always instrumental in setting up the baseline. That is, the baseline is a minimum benchmark. And when we see the guidelines, which came in 2017, it covered almost all the domains of the information security, including the governance structure, which is very vital, which I think Manoj has already touched upon. And guidance always acts as a baseline, and industries needs to have the granular SOPs to implement the controls. Now, since Amarjit touched upon the data localization and data centric security, as of now, the data centric security is very vital when we are dealing with the customer's sensitive data. Especially in insurance, we deal with the medical data as well, which comes under SPDA, sensitive personal data informations. As of now, the IT Act Section 43A touches upon the PII and SPDI. And now, since the privacy bill is already in the parliament, I think with this bill, it will lay down many controls which the organization has to implement to have better privacy controls, not only the security controls but also the privacy controls. Since we are dealing with the sensitive personal data information of the consumers. And now about the data location, which Amarjit touched upon. As of now, only the payment system data has been mandated to be stored in India as per RBI guidelines and NPCI guidelines. Now, since Amarjit said we are storing the data, but the processing happens sometimes outside the India. So now all the organizations, after coming up the PDP bill, might happen that the data location also becomes a mandatory thing for the insurance sector as well, or the other sectors as well. Whoever is dealing with the sensitive information of the customer. So we need to be very careful, and we need to plan this right from now to deal with the privacy and the storage part of the data. Over to you, Satya.
Well, thanks, Prakash, for putting your views on the table. I think there is an important aspect which is also more important now. I think if you have compared to our peer industries, the banks, we have seen that the industry bodies, over and above the regulatory bodies, they have created a good amount of forums where they are able to share knowledge. They have more interactions. they are sharing the incident information like IDBRT in the banking industry. Now, to achieve our entire roadmap towards information security maturity and to create a baseline, do you think, as we as industry pioneers in the subject of information security, we should also come together and form an informal body so that we go ahead and have more constructive discussions and also help regulator to bring us baselines, so that we either as an industry together create some baseline and also provide inputs to the regulator also. So is it a time, is it a need where insurance industry also comes up and forms some views around that? So I would give up to this question to Manoj first, because Manoj coming from an SBI, the banking partner, where SBI is a very strong partner in the IDBRT banking industry forums. So his views around this subject. Over to you, Manoj.
Yeah, and thanks, Satya. In fact, it is an excellent questions. So if you look at why should we collaborate, and why should we collaborate among ourselves, and also why should we collaborate with the IRDI or with the regulator? This is a very important aspect, which bring into the forum. And if you see, the banking sector is a very matured industry in the India, and the regulator RBI is also very matured regulator. So if you look out the banking regulation, which has started with the Gopal Krishnan committee report on the electronic banking, and then the cyber security guidelines in the year 2016, it itself proves that how matured is it. And the all the banks have a forums like IDRBT, and if you look at the IDRBT, they publish lots of papers on different topics of security. So be it is the cyber insurance, be it a cloud security, be it is a third party security. So they publish all these papers, and which helps the banks, individual banks. So whether it is a big bank, or whether it is a middle sized bank, or whether it is a small bank, or a cooperative bank or urban cooperative bank, it helps the all the banks if you refer those guidelines. And also they have the experts inside the IDRBT, which also helps the regulator in any way. And also, if you know, the RBI also has a arm called Rebit, which is a information technology arm. And in that arm also, lots of cyber security experts are there who are helping the regulator as well as the different banking organizations. So suppose if if you consider, so like when there is a incident, cyber security incident, in any of the company, so whether it is a bank or insurance, so it could be possibly be a attack on the industry, either in a banking industry or insurance industry. So these informations must be shared among all the CISOs of the companies, so that they will take the inputs, and they will they'll immediately take the precautionary measures. See, if you look at the most of the attacks, the recent sophisticated attacks are very sophisticated in nature, and most of the attacks are coming as a zero-day type of exploitation of a zero-day vulnerability. So none of the companies would have been prepared. But if these informations are shared among the CISOs and among the organizations, IT organizations of all the companies, then it would be helpful for the organizations to quickly take some steps to either to immediately contain the attack, or immediately contain the incident, or to prevent the incidents. So this is a one major thing for which the collaboration among the companies is required, and also collaboration with the regulator is required. Sometimes if you look at it, Mr. Amarjit has spoken about 307 controls. So if you look at some controls are not matches with the guidelines, or some prescriptive things which are mentioned in the guidelines are not in the checklist. So these are the some things which some insurance companies may be facing some problems during the annual audits. So all these things also can be discussed on a day-to-day basis, instead of regulator form a committee, and a regulator himself initiate a discussion among the insurance companies. So instead of depending everything depending on the regulator for everything, it is better that we should have a forum like IDRBT. We know, and it's a self-sustainable forum so that all the CISOs of all the organizations can come together. Regulator can have the representatives in the forum to discuss with the companies, take their feedbacks, take their views, and then go on strengthening the regulations. So strengthening the regulations is an important factor, like Prakash ji has rightly said. So looking at the emerging guidelines and also emerging guidelines, emerging laws. So it is at one side, and also if you look at the emerging threats. So if you look at the recent ransomware attacks, and if you put it on the insurance industry, so it is not in India. If you look at the AXA, so there was an attack on AXA. The day AXA declared that they are not going to they reimburse the claims for the cyber insurance if the ransomware is paid. Then after 2 to 3 days, there was an attack on AXA. There was an attack on the CNA Financials, which is a major insurance company. So, and if you look at the attacks at different other organizations like Kaseya or the computer manufacturers like Acer and Panta, those are very sophisticated attacks. So, if these attacks happens, how do we know about the IOCs? How do we know about the what are the immediate steps that need to be taken for the containment of the incident? So and in order to prevent, contain all these type of attacks, the regulations need to be strengthened on day-to-day basis or on a year-on-year basis. So if you look at the 2017 guidelines and what is the current status, so we can say yes, there is a need to improvement in the IT governance structure, because the regulations of 2017 has focused on the information security governance. And if you refer the COVID standard of the ISACA and also Gopal Krishnan committee report, which was come as a electronic banking guidelines from the RBI, the corporate governance, IT governance is a part of the corporate governance, and IT is always aligned to the business. And if you look at in that perspective, then cyber security must be aligned to the IT. So it is essential that IT governance first should be in place, and if IT governance is strong enough, then automatically the information security governance will be made stronger. So information security basically and also totally depends on the IT governance. So that is one aspect. And if you look at the some of the guidelines of RBI, they have come forth with a very prescriptive things. Like if you look at the application security life cycle, there is a concept like Mr. Amarjit has told, lots of insurance companies and also Satya has told, lots of insurance companies are depending more and more on the cloud to provide a better customer service without losing any time to the customers. So in order to facilitate that, then the companies are going to the cloud and hosting different types of applications. So whether we need to maintain the security life cycle of the applications. So RBI has told about the application security life cycle. RBI has told about the DMARC standard to ensure the security of the email systems. If you look at during the last year, the phishing attacks on overall all the industries has been increased by 500%. 500%. So the email security is the most important thing. RBI has told that DMARC standard must be adopted by all the banks. And in the similar manner, also RBI has told about the DDoS mitigation measures. RBI also has told about the application firewall to protect the applications. So these are the some of the measures which, yes, of course, our regulator is expected to bring in the next review. And apart from these major areas, there is another key risk, which is the third party. If you look at the insurance operations, be it the data entry, be it the printing, be it the call center, almost all insurance companies depends on the third parties for their operations. So the third party risk is one of the most important risks. The insurance company's network is also connected with the third parties. Data is seamlessly being transferred from and to insurance companies to the third party either through API or through SFTP. So the third party risk is a concern area, and the stringent controls has to be put in place. So whether it is a regulated third party or non-regulated third party. So in this manner, if there is a forum, industry forum like IRBT, then it will help the entire industry, and also it will help the regulator. Thank you. Over to Satya.
Thanks, Manoj, for putting these views. I think very strong views and very forthcoming views in terms of how really we as an industry should now take the next steps of maturity, and which I think the same banking sector must have taken those steps 20, 30 years back. So I think this is a point of inflection where we as an industry now need to collaborate and really stop, saying that regulator is only going to help us from security baseline. We need to now join together and collaborate and help regulator so that he together with us we collaborate together and bring better standards for the industry. So I think that's a very good point. I think extending the same conversation, to Amarjit, I think
I will share something from my. See, I worked in United Kingdom through one of the premier consulting companies, and I was working as a consultant for National Grid Transco. So when there was a requirement how the data will be shared among all the metering companies. So there what we did was we defined a framework how the collaboration will happen, what are the checks, what are the like maker taker concept, and then what are the different processing will be there, plus what are the training needs are there. So it elaborates everything what Mr. Manoj has said. So we need to have something similar thing here for all the insurance companies, like we prepare a conceptual model how each one will contribute. So everyone, so there is it is not, it doesn't become the forum for one or two or three privileged people. It becomes equal participation and equal takeaway, because until unless if I derive some benefit out of it, it will not work. So there has to be some goodies, some way to engage and take it forward. And definitely it's a very good suggestion, and I think it can be more online. What Government of India has already started something called CyCOD, Cyber Coordination Center.
CyCOD, yes.
Yes. So, and there are other initiatives also from CERT India where certain collaborations are happening. So when we share definitely this kind of inputs, this is definitely is going to help. And see, on even in insurance sector, we already have something working on, not on insurance side but from other side, like selling side. If there are some rogue intermediaries or fulfillers, they are blacklisted. So there is a list published. So this can help us in third party if something also comes up for third party risk assessment. So if we know some people are like that, so if we can publish that list, so it will be like one of the safety guidelines. So there are actually many good things are already happening, not only in insurance but outside the information security function. So that will definitely help us. So we can adopt all those good things and take it forward. And Manoj has rightly said the data is seamlessly shared across multiple intermediaries, fulfillers, and other components. See, that's how the insurance network works.
Yes.
And it is the actually bread and butter of the insurance. So how taking one cue from what Prakash ji has talked about was SPDI, sensitive personal data information. So we need to adopt some checks and balances, how we put in place those measures. which can help. And actually, I will rightly say that information security is one of the business enablers. It is not one of the business stopper. It has actually become more prominent now, where almost on all the functions of business, there is a small element of touch of information security is coming. So when this is happening, definitely there is a lot of things to be learned, and this can definitely be done in a platform, or there can be a common, if there is already existing a common platform which taking care of other learnings from IRDA, so we can have similar for information security, or a subsection within that for information security.
Thanks, Amarjeet.
This is required. Thank you,
Thanks,
Satya.
thanks, Amarjeet. I think it's a very passionate conversation. I think touching upon an industry collaboration is something is quite, pulling touch is getting the right discussions in place. So I will jump to the next question, a very interesting question, which I feel and it was very closer to my heart. I think the entire our in this entire passion of creating a baseline, or having a baseline for the industry. Don't you think a high level guideline and a risk based security implementation is the way forward? Or a prescriptive guideline which we want to make, or a prescriptive baseline which we want to make for the industry, is something way forward? So I'm getting as a devil's advocate and putting another question to what context we started. So should we say that the risk based security implementation is also in parallel to be done with the baseline, or should we say the risk based security implementation, which is quite important to manage the new age threats, is something quite higher priority than the baseline, or do we say they go together? So Prakash, I would ask you to talk about this. I know you may be also interested to talk about the IDBRT or the industry collaboration question, but I think with the paucity of time, I want you to talk about this topic. I will take your views once we complete this question.
Not an issue. Luckily, I was having an actively participation in IDRBT forum, and I am also a visiting guest faculty at IDRBT. So that question was very close to me. Yeah. Now coming to this, having a risk-based model or a prescriptive guidelines. Sometimes prescriptive works, and sometimes now, after the evolvement of so many threats, risk-based security implementation is the key, and every organization has to do that. Now you can see the new age, some new vulnerabilities we are getting almost. Today only we have heard about new vulnerability, Log4j. So, sometimes prescriptive works as a baseline, since the regulator also wants that minimum benchmarking of the security has to be there, so they prescribe. And so, just to implement that, we implement as a security control. Now, since the vulnerabilities and attackers are two age greater than us, or they are always combating each other. So we need to have a risk-based security implementation model. Even in banking, RBI came with the guidance of risk-based internal audit. Earlier there was guidance on internal audit, but then they came up with the risk-based internal audit, because in the risk-based scenario, what we do, we calculate whether this risk needs to be addressed or not, because this risk may not be happening in across all the organizations. If it is happening also, it may not be in the same frequency or with the same energy. So a risk-based model, in which the organization test and do the assessment, and based on this assessment, they try to do whether they have to treat the risk, they have to own the risk, or they have to pass the risk by using like cyber insurance and all. So risk-based security implementation is the goal, and today or tomorrow, everyone has to achieve that.
Thanks, Prakash, for your views. I think very rightly said. I think we also have Sundar Krishnan, the CRO of Reliance Life Insurance. I think we miss you, sir, in this panel. I think you may have some urgent reasons for being delayed. But discussing on the subject of risk-based security implementation and having a security baseline, or what is something which we need to prioritize, or we should we say both are equally important for the industry. What are your views on that, sir? I think the audience would be very interested to hear your views on this.
Thank you. Apologies for joining late. Risk-based security is a very interesting phenomena because normally you would not go for a risk-based implementation of a security solution, or in the operational side, you will need to have 100% security. But monitoring, mastering, or risk management of that, yes, you could do a risk-based security implementation. So when it comes to operational part, you will have to do 100% or more than that. You will have contravening controls, processes, systems. But when you do monitoring, when you do audit of that, or when you do management of that, yes, then the risk-based perspective works. This is quite important to understand, because if you go for risk-based implementation at an operational level, processes, systems, then you could have a problem, because a single loophole or a hole in a security parameter could throw open all other tight pockets in the layers. So for monitoring, security risk management, and security audit, risk-based perspective works. For operations, for implementation, you will have to, of course, look at the old principles of sound controls and processes. Both, of course, perimeter has now become beyond perimeter. So the paraphernalia has changed, approach has changed, and it is important to even have a risk perspective over there. Having said that, you will have to nearly do operations, processes, systems at all perspectives, and that's the key. Just thought I would add on the regulatory front.
Yeah,
No
please.
doubt, regulator has worked out probably a 2 or 3 year old framework, but they are continuously working on the recent framework. Very recently, for accessing systems from houses or remote locations, there was a checklist issued by IDA from operational side. So there is a lot of work going on at a framework level and to revamp the entire thing. I'm part of those projects also, apart from various other personnel who are involved. So sooner or later, you will see a new framework. I don't know when that will come, but certainly work has been done, and structures have been created, framework has been laid out. It's only question of subscribing it to it or initializing it. That's where it is left out now.
Thanks for this insight, Sundar sir. I think this is a great insight and a great news for the insurance industry of how our the expert panelists are already working with the regulator to come out to bring out with some the point or 2.0 version of the guidelines or some niche guidelines from the work from home perspective. I think the COVID has brought this new acceleration of working from home. So the entire need for having the right security controls from of accessing systems from the or home and the new risk emerging out of it have to be curtailed. So thanks for this, Sundar sir. I think over to you, Manoj, on this the entire question around risk-based security and also the baseline. I think we all now have believed that they need to go in parallel. So just wanted to hear your views
Yeah,
on
yeah.
that.
Yeah, like Prakash has told and Sundar has specified, we need to balance. So whether it is a risk-based security or compliance-based security, we need to balance. So if you look at now, simple thing like in a SIM or SOC operations, so you cannot just integrate 100 devices into the SOC and leave another 50 devices. So you will not have the visibility on the entire IT organizations or security organizations. So in that case, it has to be 100%. Or if you look at the patching, so Sundar has told you to know at a very generic manner that operations, yes, it has to be 100%. And also the risk-based internal audit has already been started in the industry. Risk-based security is also a requirement. The regulator may not require to be very prescriptive. It may be left to the organizations to have a risk assessment of their assets, of their infrastructure, of their risk assessment of their processes, and implement the appropriate guidelines. And if you look at, I'm again referring to the RBI guidelines. So it is not required to reinvent the wheels again. When the regulator like RBI in one of the guidelines, they are referring to WAPS, Open Web Application Standard for the application security. So you need to write, anything about the application security. So the regulator or the companies also can refer WAPS for the application security. Now, for the data protection, again, RBI is referring to a ISO standard. and we all know that NIST standard is a very good, very good standards. Lots of papers are being published by the NIST, and if you wanted to mature as a industry, we can also follow some of the things of the NIST publications, and we can move ahead. So in a summary, in a nutshell, we need to balance both risk-based approach and compliance-based approach, and also wherever it is essential in the operational areas, like Sundar has said, we need to comply 100%.
Thanks, Manoj. I think you have summed it very well. I think we just wanted to keep some time for questions. I think we are short of only 2 minutes now to end the panel. So I think I would just refer the chat if we have any chat questions on the chat. I think there is one question from Suhas Dalvi. He says, how do insurance companies underwrite cyber risk insurance policies given that cyber risk posture is dynamic? So with Sundar sir, would you like to take this up?
Yeah, so typically a general insurance company looks at all aspects. Like I'm a subscriber or a customer as a life insurance company of cyber policies. So they look at implementations, they look at adoption of standards, security practices, what kind of control measures have been implemented, processes are implemented, what kind of audits we perform, and what kind of layering we have, what kind of discipline you have. So they do go through all this kind of data, analyze them, and where required, they also conduct audits through prescribed auditors or layered auditors, and then issue a cyber risk policy, underwriting the cyber risk. So it's not random, it is well planned, and they look at the architecture of the organization, they look at all kinds of layers, applications they have, operating systems they have, management of that, outsourcing regulations, and then issue a policy. And so it does go through collection of various layers of information from the companies that would like to subscribe to these policies, and then the policies are issued. The values are also determined. Controls are also there in terms of what kind of loss will be covered and what is not covered, what are the external layers in the sense that what are not covered, etc., are very clearly laid down in the policy. So the approach is quite systematic, and then they underwrite. So if that is the question I thought about underwriting cyber risk.
I think it's a big question and a big answer, but I think very well summed up, Sundar sir, with your expert experience. So I think we are at the end of the panel discussion. I think thanks for your time. I think it was a valuable discussion. I think we all were quite excited about collaborating, and that is something which we should be all quite happy about to go take it forward. So thanks everybody for putting your time here and commenting and sharing your thoughts. And I think we as an industry should really aspire that we have a great regulator to support us, and we should all collaborate to help him, I think, to strengthen this entire information security posture for enterprises. uh, thanks for the time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Satya. Thank you, Sundar. Thank you, Prakash ji. Thank you, Amarjit.
Thank you.